Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we're MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at the two-player only cooperative game, Sky Team, Prepare for Landing. This is a game published by Scorpion Mask and designed by Luc Remond. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table. We're here set up for a game of Sky Team. We have a cooperative game here, two-player only. So we'll have the pilot right here and the co-pilot right here with the orange dice. In this game, you and your partner are trying to land a plane at different destinations. Every game will be a certain destination. You're going to go through a certain number of rounds tracked right here to ultimately land your plane at a destination shown. Every destination is going to present different challenges to the players. We'll go over how to play right now. I'm going to give you a general overview of the game. There are different modules that get added into the flight logs that will complicate things each time you play, but I'm going to give you the base rules here right now. So we have it set up based on what this called for. So I see when I first start, it's going to say that roll the black die 3 times. That is going to dictate where these planes go. So I would count 1, 2, 3, and I know another plane's going to go there. And I could roll it 2 more times. I'm just going to go ahead and throw them on a couple spots because you get that idea. You will also have a couple other things on the board. We have spots where it says how we have to be on our axis, on our plane axis. So we have these markers on the board. I'll lift that up so you can see a little better. We have these markers on the board. That says the axis of our planes, of our plane. And some of these tell you it has to be at a certain axis in order to move forward. Otherwise, you lose. That's it'll just be added onto certain maps here to complicate things, make it a little more difficult. Okay, so on your turn, each player is going to place four die, one at a time. The order in which you play the die is also nice and handy right there. It shows an arrow pointing to blue, and that is going to be my first go. So let's say I rolled my 4 dice. My opponent's doing that as well. I'm going to plan where I want these dice to go. There are only 2 choices on here that are absolutely mandatory every single round, no matter the module that I know of. So, and those are marked right here with exclamation point as a reminder that you will have to place here or you will lose every single round. Also, my co-pilot, so you'll notice these are like dice placement spots. The blue ones are where the pilot plays, and the orange one are where the co-pilot plays. If they're multicolored, that means either one of us can go to those spots. So we also start with a reroll token right there, signified right there. On easier maps, you'll have another one that you'll earn as you go. But right now we have one that we could use. All right, so I have 3 3s and a 1. I don't know what my teammate rolled, so I have to figure out, all right, well, maybe I want to start out right here. It's a pretty neutral number, 3, right in the middle, kind of. So I would put that here because if my teammate played, let's say they played a 5, well, let's see what they have. They have a 2, so let's say they played a 2. That means my number is 1 greater, so it's actually going to tilt my axis 1. If you ever get to an X, that means you will lose. So there's an X right here and an X right here. So right now, as we're flying, we are on that axis. And then my next action, I'll do maybe to do the other mandatory action, which is engines. So I'll put that there. Right now, we want to move forward. So this is the range we want the cumulative total to be. Between 5 and 8 would move us 1 step forward. There is nothing that would happen. We know we do want to go 1 step forward because we don't want to stop here. We don't want to be at a stalemate because we're going to have to roll these 3 dice. So if my teammate were to place their 3, we would have a total of 6. That means we get to move 1 forward, which is great. If my teammate were to play a 6, that would mean we have 9, which exceeds 8. It passes it, and it's now 9. That means we would move twice. So if we were here, we would try to move twice, we would crash into this plane and immediately lose. So they wouldn't do that. They would definitely go with the 3. So we are safe to move just that once. How do I remove that plane? Well, I actually look at my dice. I have a 1, and I could assign it right here and that removes 1 from the first space. If I were to have placed a 3, I would count 1, 2, 3, and remove 1 to this space. But I place it as a 1 because that is more urgent of a need. My teammate would then go. If they want, they can go and there's a couple options they have. Let's say they want to clear out something way down the road. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would simply clear off that. Alternatively, they could go over here. These are mandatory actions by the end of the game. They don't have to be done every single round, but they will have to be done. So what they do is we just simply slide this and it shows green, so it's activated, and this will go up by 1, making it more difficult to move twice because this number goes up. All right, so that is an option. Another option, if we decided we didn't want to do that, is to brew some coffee. Come down here. It doesn't matter what the dice is, and it doesn't matter which player puts it down here. We will simply have a coffee right there. So that is going to allow any time a player to go ahead and spend that to add or minus 1 to their die. So that is handy to have 1 or 2 of those on cue. We can only have 3 total. I have the same concept over here as they do over here. However, they have to do theirs in a row. I don't over here as the pilot. I could just jump to the 3, move that over, and then this would make it more difficult to have the cumulative total that moves you forward. That is pretty much it. You're going to keep doing that. That's the base game right there. We have reroll tokens. Either player can decide that we're going to go ahead and do a reroll, and you can reroll as many as you want. Like I said, there's going to be different modules that you get added. I'm not going to go over all the modules. You have a flight log, and it will tell you what gets added, and it will also, in that same book, tell you how to play these different modules that get added to the different maps. But that will about cover it until the end. Let's say we remove all these, and I'll just say, how do we finish? We want to finish with both of these right here lined up perfectly. And this will have to be straight and narrow. We're going to land straight. We don't want to be at tilt. That will be an automatic loss. And you don't want to overshoot. So on the last round, this is the breaks right here. The pilot can adjust this throughout the game by putting a 2, a 4, and a 6. And this has to be in a row. You couldn't just jump to the 6. As you do that, you increase your breaks. So for the last round, you want the cumulative number here for your engines to be less than what is shown here, or equal to. So 6, perfect, actually, in this case, if I upped my brakes all the way throughout the game, and I have 6 or less, we are successful in braking right here. There you go. That's the gist of how we're going to play Sky Team. Vic and I are going to go back up top and tell you what we think of this 2-player cooperative game.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Nick, for the great overview of a 2-player cooperative game with dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A dice placement game, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you generally like dice placement games. You like cooperative games. So what are your thoughts? Initial thoughts?
I thought the game was really fun. I like that we're not talking through each decision. Like, what dice are you going to... I mean, that would be way too basic. Like, so first and foremost, the lack of communication adds a certain layer to the cooperative. So whenever you're doing that, though, sometimes I really don't enjoy not being able to talk to you. But with the dice, I mean, you can assume things from what somebody's done. So if they, aren't placing it on the engine, maybe there's a reason for it. They want to see what you have, or they're focusing on taking out planes with the lower numbers to tell you, like, okay, I'm using up my low ones, whatever the scenario is. Anyway, you can kind of deduce, even though there's no communication. So right off the bat, I like that, that it wasn't impossible without being able to talk to each other.
Yeah. There is a little bit of that, of knowing of maybe that communication of dice you place. I don't think it's as strong as a game like The Crew or a trick-taking game of any sort that has teammates. Yeah. I don't think it's as strong. Like, it's so obvious, and when you're playing a trick-taking game, that you're playing something for a purpose. Not always clear on Sky Team. I wish it were a little bit more of that feeling, like, oh, if they played that, so that means they have that. I do wish they did that. I felt that more. Like, it might be certain spots where it's clear.
But sometimes, yeah.
When you get rid of planes and things like that, it's like, oh, I guess they don't have the 1 because they would have played it by now. So I'll take care of the 1, like get rid of the plane or something like that.
Yeah.
I tend to like dice placement games too. I like worker placement games. I like dice placement games. And I am hit or miss on cooperative. I usually like it a little bit more than not, but not always. Sometimes they're a little too basic. This one is maybe the quickest cooperative game we have. I could be wrong. I mean, we just mentioned the crew. That's pretty quick as well, especially if you count every single hand. But this is a very quick one for a board game. It's very quick.
Yeah.
You can knock out a bunch of these. It doesn't overstay its welcome in any fashion. It does present some challenges. At first, when we first started playing this game, we actually lost a couple times. After that, we won a huge streak of winning. We just kept winning, and by all the way till we got to like the most difficult one, then we finally lost again. What it added with that one was like a real time element. Luckily, that real time element goes away the very next flight log.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care for that very much. To me, I like this game. Not necessarily relaxing, but not that intense. I don't want it to be like you have 1 minute and that's it.
Yeah, because I was making foolish decisions with the timer adding pressure. I think, it's way more enjoyable for me without the timer. But we got through it.
Yeah, and you can select whatever difficulty you like. We were just playing through in order, so they have a green level, they have a yellow level, a red level, and then I'm not sure what that there's like a black one at the very end. I don't know if it means very hard or if that's more of like a custom thing. I haven't looked at that part yet. We're in the reds right now, so we've played it plenty of times. We have, we're on our third page of flight log, and we are, just mowing through it. We decided, before we do a review, we're going to give a couple of the red ones a play. We beat 2 of the red ones already. That first one, like I said, was difficult because it had a real-time element. I like the modules that it adds. It changes it up. Not everyone is the same. You don't feel like you feel like you're actually doing something different. This one presents its own unique challenges. Yeah. It does come back to revisit a lot of the modules, which is actually kind of a good thing, because you don't have to relearn it that much. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this one, I got it. So I actually do like it. And it has different twists. Like, okay, we're going to be abilities this time. Okay, this map's actually loaded with planes, or you got to be in certain positions when you're moving forward. It throws these different things at you. And there's plenty to think about. The only time you can communicate is in between rounds, and we try to utilize that to remind each other of things that we may have overlooked, or just in case. Yeah, especially like, hey, there's a couple coffees. Yeah, so don't be crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like all the outs. I think the quality of the components is good. I think it's it's their dice, their little wooden tokens. But you have this like gears in the middle of the board. The axis has that clear bubble, so it has like cool looking table presence when you see that, and you see the privacy screens that each player has when they roll their dice. They're good privacy screens too. Yeah, they don't fall over under their own weight. You can roll against them. Yeah, because they're good the way they tuck into each other. Yeah, nice. So I appreciate that, and it's a smaller box. It's not recessed for the main board. Mm-hmm. Do enjoy that, and it's not like the smallest box in the world, but it is not a large box. So if you don't have a lot of space in your collection, this would be good because it doesn't take up a lot of space. Yeah, it's similar to maybe like a De Beer box, like a Red Cathedral size box, kind of. Yeah. Similar, not the same, similar. So I guess we kind of touched on replayability with the module talk. I think it's highly replayable. I mean, it's just a fun thing to go through together. And even if you did all the missions, what do you think? Would it be that's what I worry about. So you're able to play a bunch of times. So I got to give it to that replayability. We have tons of games. We keep coming back to it because there's more to accomplish. Once you get done, which doesn't take terribly long considering how short the game is. Mm-hmm. If you were to just crank them out and binge on this game, would I revisit? I cannot say if I would. Yeah. What I would do, because it's like once you complete a game, think of a video game. How many times do you revisit something you beat? The levels and stuff. And I'm sure there's probably maps people can create. Like, oh, do this and do this. This was really fun. This game has that where it's like, oh, I tried this combination. It was really good. Yeah. I used this. Use this map. Use these modules. And I'm sure that's out there. I'm almost positive I heard that or something like that. Mm. That's to that effect. That would make it more playable. Okay, let's try this one. You can keep coming back to it. But at a certain point, you probably are going to be done with it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. As I thought to myself, like the replayability, and not that you've made an impression there, but trying to think if there was anything beyond the missions we were doing. Like if you were going to say that, oh yeah, after that there's this other thing, but really you have to want it to change. Part of the fun is not doing the same, like this one, oh, once you finish the campaign, you move to a regular game. So anyway.
I think the most important thing to say is the cost you spend isn't very high in this game, but you're going to be able to play it plenty of times so that we can call it replayable past its value, past of what you paid for it. This game isn't going to be expensive, and you get more than your money's worth out of it if you enjoy the concept. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. And I guess you spoke on value just then, so I think we've covered that. We can only play it at 2, so there's no real scale ability.
Yeah, no scale.
Only for 2 players. Anything else you want to talk about before we give our scores?
Do you have any negatives, would you say? I hit a little bit on one. To me, I wish it was more of that, like the Crew or a trick-taking game would have, where your dice mean a little bit more to the other player than they actually do sometimes. I love that feeling. Oh, I know what that means. I know you did that because of that. I like that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't really get it that much out of this. I get it in very small doses.
But they're nice when you get them.
Yeah, and is that a negative? That's just how the game plays. It's not. I wouldn't say that's a negative. That's a neutral. It's something that, like, I kind of wish it would like that. I get that feeling. It doesn't have that. That's all. That's not. I wouldn't call it a negative necessarily.
Yeah, I don't really have much negative to say. I like the pace. I like that we can play a lot of the games at once. The theme is strong. You do feel like you're, kind of piloting together this thing because of the way that you're switching the gears, and like when I'm doing the flaps and you're doing the brakes and we're moving up, the little pieces. It does feel a bit tactile there in the axis. But yeah, I don't know. Bad. There's not much to say for me. I don't find much.
I guess if you're really hard on the theme of a pilot and co-pilot not talking, I guess. But other than that, no, it's not that big a deal for me. It's just one of those things. If you're really heavy in the theme, you might be feeling like that's out of place, maybe a little bit.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. All right, scores. Let's do scores then. How do we feel about it?
My score is an 8.4.
Okay, 8.4. All right, mine, I'm going to go 8.8. I think I'm surprised I scored a little higher than you, but that may be because it's a lighter game. I think for what this is, I can't think of somebody playing a quick cooperative game like this. There's not too many there on a board. So I bumped it up quite a bit. I was in between, the lowest I would go is 8.7, the highest is 9.
8.6, I was thinking.
I think it's great. I think for what this game is, it actually really works. It's a quick game you get to the table. It makes you think a little bit, and it's dice placement, which is a great mechanism. It works really well in this cooperative game. I think this is a great one. I think this one, if you're a couple or you play a lot of 2-player games in general, no matter who it's with, I think this is one you should pick up. You should definitely pick this one up if you like cooperative, even the slightest. Like, let's try to do an activity together. This is a great activity, which is actually a game.
Yeah, that's what I think of it as well. When I was thinking, when we played it last, that was what was coming to mind, is that we were doing something together. It's not really about winning necessarily, but yeah, we want to win. We want to get through our levels, but just going through it together is great. And I think, to say that my score is less than yours, well, of course I didn't know what yours would be, but when I scored it, I tried to think of it in its context of what it is, and I think about the other things. We play a lot of games, just us two anyway, so a strong score from us both. We really do enjoy this game.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please click the thumbs up. It does help grow the channel. And subscribe for more great videos. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.